Well, Erik ten Hag has lost his first game in his first 13 months at Manchester United at Old Trafford. So meaning that he last lost to Brighton, and Brighton have gone ahead to come here and obviously beat Man United. We're here to bring you the player ratings as they're obviously put up there for you, and you're also requested to go into the comment section and tell us what you think your player ratings are. Rokan David is my name, and obviously it's one of the bad days that you obviously have to mourn about, but to me there is green light at the end of the tunnel. As I told you in my match preview, I blame everyone, the manager a little bit, the players, Rashford. This was a game that was supposed to be won us by Rashford, but his selfishness costed us the game, because in the first 10 minutes, if Rashford wasn't selfish, would have gone ahead to register a couple of goals. If at all you could release Rasmus Hojlund and maybe find another pass towards the edge of the 18-yard box area, would have gone ahead, obviously get ahead of Brighton and maybe just take them for a beating. But Rashford, selfish player, the same thing he did in the game of Arsenal that costed us close to 2 goals. He has gone ahead to do it again and again, and I think it's high time Ten Hag sat this mate down, told him, please, this is a team game, it's not an individual game, and your selfishness is really costing this club of Manchester United. So let's see close to 300 likes smash this video. We thank God for the gift of life, Allah to the Muslims, and Rokan David is my name. And let's start it off with Andre Onana in goal. For me, Andre Onana deserved a 6 out of 10. I've seen people coming out and slating Andre Onana, and I'm asking myself, why are these people doing this? Because Andre Onana found himself in a situation of being able to do his job, and no one at any point saw him make a mistake. People say would have gone ahead to pull out world-class saves. On which goal? That of Danny Welbeck, it was like a penalty. That of is it Pascal Gross, very far off to the area, and you'll ask yourself, where was the central defense and the midfield when Pascal Gross was obviously scoring such a goal against Man United? The third goal, I repeat, was also known to be a blame for this man. So I believe we should put the blame where it obviously belongs, and I'm giving Andre Onana a 6 out of 10 for me. He deserves a 6 out of 10 for me, and he really went ahead to do the needful with this beautiful game of football. Now we go to Diego Dalot being played as a right back. One big positive for me, closing down Mitoma. To me, Mitoma had nothing to do in that entire game, and with the fluidity of the front three of Brighton plus the service coming in from their midfield, you would have gone ahead to expect that Mitoma is obviously going to be a threat, but Mitoma came on through and he was closed down very well by Diego Dalot. And what people didn't understand was, if Dalot marks the space, these others should do their job, and if at all you don't mark the space, then you 100% get penalized for your job and works. So I think we had a very huge divide between the central defense and the midfield. That's why we saw to it that these goals obviously came in through, because if you had a tracking midfielder back, that first goal wouldn't have gone ahead to enter. As Lisandro Martinez was shifted out of play, that means there would have been Scott McTominay or Casemiro to obviously track the run of Danny Welbeck. But why does Danny Welbeck make that run, pass the ball to the right back of Brighton, and then makes a run into the 6-yard box area of Man United, and no one is following him up? Because it's what's the right word to use? It's punishable, or it's unacceptable for a player to be in the 6-yard box area unmarked, because it just needs one simple touch to put that ball into the back of the net, and that is it. So I'm giving Dalot to me a 6 out of 10. That is it. Sergio Hojlund, I think, really had a very perfect game. Apart from that first goal we conceded because he let that cross come in through, yet I believe would have gone ahead to cover it far much better. But the rest of the instances were really good. There is a moment where he released Marcus Rashford. There is a moment he really put in a very good cross. It shows you that his forward play is very, very good. You know, going forward, he's really one of the best players I've seen, and he puts in a perfect cross for the club to obviously thrive onto that, and that is coming in from the side of Sergio Hojlund. His debut for Man United, never really scored, we never really won, but he really put in a performance that most of us will give a go, and I think he's really good. Though in the game of Bayern Munich, I don't see him starting. That is it. But you never know what Ten Hag is good at doing. He might really start him as a left back for the club of Manchester United. So, Sergio Hojlund, 6 out of 10. We go to the central defense. Lisandro Martinez shielded off for the first goal. Second goal, the way he was obviously damaged and went down. And then Pascal Gross went ahead and obviously placed that ball into the far net. Shows you exactly how Lisandro Martinez is really not yet back to his levels. Ever since this season started, to me, the best game Lisandro Martinez going ahead to play was that of Arsenal. That is it. And he walked out feeling pain in the metatarsal that saw him not play the last 7 games of last season. So it shows you that there is something that is not yet okay with him. He's not yet back to where we deserve him to be. That is Lisandro Martinez, and the manager took him off, meaning that these players are not yet back to where they deserve to be. And as I told you, I wouldn't have played him in this game. I would have gone ahead to play maybe Evans to see to it that everything gets better. But I think the manager needed him to get minutes as he prepares to take him to play into the Bayern Munich game on Tuesday. That is it. So that is Lisandro Martinez for you. I'm giving him a 5.5 out of 10. Lindelof Victor, composed. I don't blame him for any goal. You know, he did his job, covered his space very well, and he thrived into those spaces where he needed to thrive better every time he was called to get the job done and dusted. That is Victor Lindelof for you, and I'm giving him a 6.5 out of 10 for me. He stood out in that central defense to me. He stood out. That's why the manager kept him on until the game really came to an end. After him, we have a man called Casemiro. He played one of his worst games for Man United today. That is it. And I saw to it that there's a lot of disconnection in between him and Scott McTominay. And that's what you get sometimes when you play players that don't play together a lot. You know? Obviously, if it was Eriksen in that midfield, I've gone ahead to get a better side. But Casemiro and Scott McTominay were the worst players on the field of play today, according to me, apart from Marcus Rashford. After Marcus Rashford, because they really played in that midfield. But the disconnection in between the two really costed us. That's why I told you that when you look at all the 3 goals we concede, they're almost in the same fashion. And do you know why we concede such goals? Scott McTominay and Casemiro we are supposed to be where Danny Welbeck was, you know, for the first goal. They should have gone ahead to close down because Lindelof was the central defender and Lisandro Martinez had gone ahead to take off one of the strikers. Then Welbeck found himself unmarked. And who was supposed to be marking him around there? It was supposed to be either Casemiro or Scott McTominay. That is it. Then the second one, Pascal Gross, in that position that he was, there needed to be a body that comes to track back. And that's also back to the manager, Erik Ten Hag, to blame a little bit because, as I told you in the match preview, you cannot play that system of committing 7 players up the pitch and having 3 defenders. We just need to see to it that we find a system that see ourselves attack as a team and defend as a team. That's what we need as Man United. We need to be attacking as a team and defending as a team. You know, attacking numbers in transition and in the defensive area having those bodies in there to defend together. That press shouldn't be divided because our press was half. And it's not a full press. You obviously see yourself going through bad times like those. Casemiro, 5 out of 10. Scott McTominay again, for me, it's a 5 out of 10 again because if a manager gets you a chance like that to play, you have to show us what you have in your goodies, because you are dropped for the game of Arsenal. You never made it to the, you never even made it to the bench or to the squad, and you don't obviously show why the manager is going to hate to bring you. And this is where you blame the board of Man United. Why didn't we sell Scott McTominay for £30 million? You know, why didn't we sell him? That is the big question. We're going to hate to sell him for £30 million and deliver Amrabat as early as possible. You know, you never know. Would have gone ahead to realize that injury of Amrabat faster before everything really happened. So the board is also to blame. So we go to Bruno Fernandes, 5.5 out of 10. He had nothing to do in this game. I don't remember moments of brilliancy being delivered by him, because he even brought a corner and obviously went into the side net. It shows you how bad he was on the day, and it shows you that this team really needs extra effort. You know, I've always talked about the players being injured. I know it's a point, but even those players that we had on the field of play had to take a game to Brighton, because we took a game to which side? We took a game to Arsenal and we lost it in the dying minutes. How come we shouldn't take a game to Brighton, yet we are at Old Trafford? I'm giving Bruno a 5.5 out of 10. Then Marcus Rashford. To me, he was the worst player on the field of play. There was a thin line in between him being the best player on the field of play and the worst player on the field of today. If I told you watch the game of Nottingham Forest, these are things that Rashford did do. In the game of Nottingham Forest, Rashford was really easy at decision making. He could make people around him better by putting in those cutbacks, crosses, and obviously trying to create chances for the team. Now, Rasmus Hojlund on the day would have gone ahead to score very many goals, but Rashford was really very, very, very selfish on the day. That is it. So for Marcus Rashford, he costed us the game. We all know that. And I'm giving him a 4 out of 10. That is it. You can't be selfish to that level and you expect us to come here and not really select you. Would have gone ahead to win the game in the first 15 minutes, but Marcus Rashford was really, really, really selfish. He was selfish in the game of Arsenal. You know, he brings his selfishness again in this game of football, and I think we deserve better. You know, 4 out of 10 for me for Marcus Rashford, and I think he did us a very big injustice onto that game. Then the other player, Rasmus Hojlund, to me, no player played better than this guy. You know, he pressed very well. He could track, hold up play, link up play, was really great. Multi-box presence was really elite. All he needed was service, and Marcus Rashford couldn't give him service, and we only have one operating wing. The other wing was not operating. It shows you how bad it is for our side, and Ten Hag needs to know that we need to obviously get better and better and better by having service from the midfield, from both wings, the right and the left, to make Rasmus Hojlund really thrive onto this. So I'm giving Rasmus Hojlund a 7 out of 10 for me. 7 out of 10 for me. And you saw to it that there is a time, even in the second half, Bruno gave him a very beautiful ball. He controlled it very well, released it to find Marcus Rashford, and Rashford, instead of going in for a cutback, he went in for a shot to the side net, and Rasmus Hojlund just needed that ball to the far post to tap it in the back of the net. You know, we lose that game because of Marcus Rashford. Substitutes, Anton Martial, 5 out of 10. He had no service. You know, it has been something we're going to have to complain for our strikers, even when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was here, that you cannot blame a striker at Man United for not scoring goals because the service is limited. Rasmus Hojlund only got himself into the 18-yard box twice with the ball, but we needed better, not so? That is 2 chances only, and one, he missed it, and the second one, he obviously found himself in a position of really scoring it, but Rashford had got that ball past the byline. That is Marcus Rashford for you. So, to my understanding, we need better from those players. And Martial had no service. Martial 5 out of 10. Pelestri 5.5 out of 10. Garnacho 5 out of 10. Bissaka 5.5. I think that was the day. Hannibal. Oh, Hannibal scoring, by the way. Hannibal really scored a very beautiful goal. He brought life to the game, and he was showing these players that this is what you're supposed to do, to obviously fight at Man United. And that fight is what we need in every game. I'm giving him a 6.5 out of 10 because he comes in through for Casemiro and obviously hits that ball into the back of the net, and scores his first goal for Man United. He was just unlucky that his first goal for Man United just went into the sheds. That is it. Now, the manager, Erik ten Hag, I'm giving him a 4.5 out of 10. Because, to me, I've always told you that a worse Casemiro is better than a worse Scott McTominay. Scott McTominay was worse, and I don't know why the manager obviously left him on the field of play. And I don't know why he reached an extent and he was playing Scott McTominay ahead of Eriksson. That was really suicidal. Very, very suicidal. And you cannot allow that in modern football, that Scott McTominay should be playing as a number 10. In which game? Obviously, service had to be cut off. And those are things that Ten Hag should obviously really improve on. I'd rather play Hannibal that side, ahead of Eriksson and Casemiro, because I know he has a touch and he has the brains to obviously thrive into those positions. But what Ten Hag did was really suicidal. That's why I'm going to have to give him a 4.5. You're having Facundo Pelestri as a right winger. Why don't you trust him? You've kept this player on and you don't want to trust him to give him the game. Play him as a right winger, because he's the best right winger we are really having. And if at all he fails, then you shift Bruno Fernandes to the side. And Bruno Fernandes is one of the best central attacking midfielders that have gone ahead to create very many chances in the world ever since he came in at Man United. And you obviously throw him under the bus that side. Let's not really call for this, and we should be acting more and more and more better. Now, my man of the match is Rasmus Hojlund, and I tell you, this boy is a force to reckon with at the club of Man United. That's why you saw to it that the fans booed Erik ten Hag when he obviously took the boy off and brought in Anton Martial. I sign out for now. See you later, and I cover you all in the precious blood of Jesus Christ. May the living to God bless you abundantly. Rock and David remains my name. I'm out for now. See you when you see me. The Muslim viewers and subscribers, Barak Lau Fikum.